You can put as many stakeholders under each category as you think appropriate. Maybe one of them thinks there's no stakeholders. I mean, some of them you might, I gave you an example of the institution being a stakeholder, but actually, for some of them, you might think, actually, the dean of my faculty is the main stakeholder in this. He's the only person who cares about this. Or it might be, the university administrators that care about it, rather than the institution as a whole. Okay? Start off with an easy one. Okay, we'll start off with an easy one. Who are the stakeholders who think in terms of value for money?
Students and parents.
Parents, anybody else? Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Who else is paying the fees? Government, yeah. That's what you're going to deliver on a year in that term.
It's a kind of standardization.
The syllabus. Yeah.
And similarly, maybe I'm not quite sure, but the competition between similar universities.
Yes.
How many places are filled each year at the university entrance exams? Can that be a sign of quality?
It depends on what basis the students are making the decisions. If you're not filling your places, then it's kind of like an indirect measure that your program is not of the required quality, because perhaps by hearsay or what have you, that students go, oh, this is my second choice or third choice, and so therefore they don't come.
Because probably they make their decisions based on value for money.
Yes, it depends what exactly. It depends what
according to those statistics.
What students are making their decisions on. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Do you do your student feedback, module evaluations? How often do you do an annual course review? So you look at how many people pass or fail the course each year. If you have a course with maybe 8 different, well, we would call them modules, but 8 different topics within the year, would you look to see how many people passed every module? So is there one module that everybody's failing? Would that be a thing that you do here? No? So say I was teaching on a program with 6 other colleagues all teaching different topics, and on my topic 50% of the students failed. then I would be in special measures, as we say. They'd come and say, well, why is everybody failing your course? Is it because you're a bad teacher? Is it because the content's not right? Is it because I'm assuming that the students knew something when they came in that they didn't? So that would be investigated, that kind of thing. Do you have those similar sort of processes? No. Okay, so how many of you are teaching on courses that are validated by a professional body or accredited by a professional body? Okay. So that again, when you're writing your fellowship, you can reflect on that, and your teaching is mapping to what the professional body is requiring. Okay, we're just moving on a little bit from this then. This was highlighted by somebody there. Quality assurance processes, different systems have been adopted by different countries and different institutions. So is it about review? Is it just about audit? So you can just produce all your documentation and someone just checks that that's all okay. Is it about accreditation, which is usually, as an institution as a whole, your institution is accredited as a degree awarding institution, or you can have individual programs obviously accredited by professional bodies. And there's sort of different focus. So the accreditation or the assurance at an institutional level, or you can have it obviously at a program level, or you can have a mixture of both. So just to give you an example, the Teaching Excellence Framework, which they're now currently introducing into the UK, that's at the moment is looking at an institutional level. So an institution is awarded a gold, silver or bronze. But from next year, they're starting to gather data so you can get an award at an individual course level. So your engineering programs may be gold, and your history programs may be silver, and your medicine programs may be bronze. So they each different program will have its own award. We've already spoken that the different quality assurance metrics are important for different audiences. So I was at an event at the University of Birmingham on Saturday before I came here, speaking to students before they applied to university. So it was a university open day for prospective students. And I asked them what data they looked at before they came, and they just kind of looked at most of them just looked at the headline, student satisfaction with the course. So that's something that we measure. Every university course measures that and publishes it. They also measure things like employment data, assessment and feedback, all the rest of these things, which is based on the student feedback. But the prospective students just looked at that headline figure by and large, the student satisfaction. So what's the aim of quality assurance? Your kind of feeling of the processes that you've undergone, we've spoken about some of them. Do you feel that your university quality assurance processes are about accountability or enhancement? So put your hand up if you think it's about accountability. And put your hand up if you think it's about enhancing, improving the quality of the practice. Both? Both? Okay. So, yeah, there is that tension. Is it just about, accountability, making sure I'm doing as I'm told, nobody trusts me? And then what's the biggest impacts? What impacts does quality assurance have on you, on your students, on the institution? Several, yes. We've got the voice of a dean. Paperwork, yes. Time, yes. Anything else?
Maybe it's a nice way of orientation for new coming academics.
Yes.
Because they have certain guidelines.
Yes.
To how to perform.
Yes, yes. It sets a benchmark. This is what the expectation is when you're delivering a course here. Yeah, yeah.
And it helps clarify role expectations for all of us.
Yes, yes, it does. Yeah.
It's a kind of awakening.
Yes, yes.
In this community, in this in the institute, between the among the academicians and between the academician and the student, among the students. That's
yes, I think you're right. I think that kind of it sets that kind of level of expectation, so the students know what to expect. You know what you're expected to deliver, and you also know that if I'm doing, so for example, we have a rule, in most UK institutions there's a rule that you have to give feedback on all assessments within 3 weeks, okay? But if that's the expectation and there's a kind of an audit of, you know, did all the feedback come back within 3 weeks, you just know that, yes, I'm achieving that goal, that's what's expected of me. My colleagues are all achieving that as well, I'm not doing something different to them. So I think it's that kind of setting the framework, setting out the expectations. And then the students know as well, I get feedback within 3 weeks. You know, I mean, that's a kind of quite a small example, but you can see how that extends out. And what do you think the main outcomes of quality assurance as a process? What do you think the outcome of it is or should be or could be?
Increased credibility for the institution.
Credibility, yeah. Anything else?
Maybe working collaboratively so that there's synergy among staff members. Everybody has to discuss something, maybe come together.
Yes.
Not
Yeah, so
individually,
yes.
But you work as a group, as a team.
You're working as a group to plan stuff, to make sure it achieves the benchmark standards, yeah? Yeah.
It helps us to have more critical minds.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it can do.
looking at ourselves and how we do teaching, how we interact with the students or does not interact with the students, and etc. So it's a kind of
self-review.
self-assessment.
Yeah, yeah. And you've got something concrete that you're going to compare yourself to.
You will be more open to new alternatives, new models.
Yeah.
And I also, by quality assurance, I understand that I have defined procedures. These are written, so whoever comes, whenever comes, knows that what he will do, what she will do.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this is one of the outcome of quality assurance. I could find the exact word of.
Yes, and then for new staff coming in, you know, it's easier for them to understand what they have to do. Yeah. And it gives that sort of sense of fairness. And I think, taking on your point there as well, it helps you sort of collaborate with other organisations as well, because you can compare, you know, your processes and your information there. Okay, so just really going through some of these then, some of the benefits of having quality assurance processes, and I think you've already brought all these together. Learning from others through peer review processes, so you understand what other people are doing. Agreeing standards, you know, this is what the expectation is, and of course that encourages you to having conversations with employers and others to say, right, this is what the employers are expecting, that should be as part of our benchmarking standards. It can also focus on teaching and scholarship. You know, peer review of research has gone on ever since research has been published and you know, commented on by peers within their field. So research has always had this kind of peer review kind of quality that sort of say, yes, this is a good piece of research because other people have read the paper and commented on it, or you know, the paper has been peer reviewed before it was published, etc., etc. So research has always been in that kind of space, whereas teaching hasn't. Teaching has a little bit of a tendency to be, well, this is what happened between me and you guys over a week, you know, but nobody else knows about it. You know, it's just, and then you can go out into the world and say, well, you know, you either learned something or you didn't learn something, but there was no process to say how good the quality of the teaching was. So it's bringing the spotlight onto teaching and scholarship, which, you know, has to be a good thing, because again, it's starting to recognise what's good and what's not so good in teaching, and also drives a scholarship agenda, so we can actually do some research to find out, you know, what works and why is it working, and having a better understanding. It can facilitate institutional change agendas. So, you know, everything is evidence-based. So if you've got the evidence that something's not working and it's working better, particularly perhaps at a different institution or a different faculty, then you can sort of say, right, okay, you know, we need to incorporate this into our practices to force change. Okay.